what's so extraordinary is that you play an individual who must be the exact polar opposite of everything that you are.
Yes, she is. This is true. She is. In the sense of being able to see things in absolutely black and white.
And very right-wing.
And very right-wing. But whether right-wing or left-wing, it's a thing of seeing things in such absolute ways and then being utterly convinced that you are completely right.
I'm running a studio here, Hedda. You think I love every person on my payroll? Grow up.
Then how about I make it crystal clear to my 35 million readers exactly who runs Hollywood and won't fire these traitors? How about I name names?
I mean, it's perhaps alliteration, but I suddenly thought Trumbo, because the very people that chased the communists, the very people who were so paranoid about the other, about any other point of view in America, and this was in the 50s, are the very people who are surging around Donald Trump.
Yes, and Ted Cruz. And I suspect actually more Ted Cruz in a way than Donald Trump. I think the people who support Ted Cruz think Donald Trump is a little bit of a liberal. I think Donald Trump has a populist voice, massively populist, and that sort of slightly demagogue populist voice. But I think Ted Cruz is more of the really old school, extreme right conservative.
There is a thread in America which is still, despite the internet, despite television, despite all the communications that link the globe together, there's still a large portion of America that doesn't have a passport and is actually rather frightened of the outside.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
But do you think it's a geography that explains how extraordinarily behind the times the Oscar system is?
I don't think it's the Oscar system. I think it's unfair to attack the Academy. It just so happened this year it went that way. And one of the reasons it went that way, Idris Elba absolutely would have been nominated for an Oscar. He wasn't, because not enough people saw or wanted to see a film about child soldiers.
Well, I was thinking for a moment that you were to some extent excusing it.
No, I'm saying that the issue we need to be looking at is what happens before the film gets to the Oscars. What kind of films are made and the way in which they're cast and the scripts, and go all the way back to the writing of the scripts. So it's those things that are much more influential ultimately than who stands there with an Oscar.
So you wouldn't boycott the Oscars this year, I mean, if you were going? I don't even know if you were going.
No, I wasn't going anyway.
Yeah.
Actually, neither was Spike Lee. But anyway, you know.
But when you're in America, and even when you're here, do you worry about the political classes? Are they holding up? I mean, do you think...
What do you mean by political classes?
Well, I mean, imagine in fact if Trump got elected, for example, does that not...
Or Ted Cruz.
Or Ted Cruz. I mean, of course, people here know much less about Ted Cruz because he's not quite as flamboyant.
Yes, not quite so noisy, is he? Not quite so... I always think there should be an ad done with Sally Field receiving her Oscar, which is very sweet. You love me, you love me. And then Donald Trump saying, you love me, you love me. Because that's all it's about, it seems to me, is how much everybody loves him. But no, I think that there is an extraordinary, extreme right-wing voice in America, extreme. And if that does get into power fully in the Congress, in the Senate, in the White House, and has all the power that it wants, I can't imagine how the world would look. I think it's a very, very frightening idea myself. And this whole idea of making America great, it seems to me that it would actually sort of be the end of America as a great country.